great day to be in life now. This is your host, Coach TMB, and we are excited. We have another great show in store for you today. We have the renowned speaker, Chris Sain, author Chris Sain, and he is also the founder of GRAND C.I.T.Y Sports. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm good, and thanks for having me.
You are so welcome.
Absolutely.
This is an honor for me to have you on this side of the show.
I know. I feel honored and humbled that you reached out and that we are making this happen.
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. Now, Chris, you are a man who is very passionate about the work that you're doing, and you do have your hands in many things going on here in the city. But for those people who are listening, who are watching this show today, who may not be familiar with who you are, why don't you share a little bit about Chris Sain?
So, again, I'm Chris Sain, and I wear many hats, but one hat in particular is the co-founder of GRAND C.I.T.Y Sports. GRAND C.I.T.Y Sports is an acronym for the word city is committed to influencing today's youth. And our mission is to restore and refocus at-risk youth by emphasizing education through sports. And so typically we use sports as just a hook to bring the youth to us. But once we get the youth into our fingertips, we like to impart wisdom. We like to mentor them, walk alongside them, encourage them to have a relationship with Christ, teach them to be civic leaders, teach them the importance of giving back. And so it's a holistic approach that we end up taking with the inner city youth. Okay. And we do it through sports and education.
Sports and education.
Absolutely.
Now, why are you so passionate about this?
Well, I come from the inner city, and the more you guys hear me talk, you'll get it real quick that I don't come from privilege. And so I understand the struggle because I came through the struggle. And one thing that you see when you grow up, where I grew up at and how I grew up, hope does not exist. We often say the inner city is designed to kill your vision. And I was determined to not let society dictate what I could do with my life. And so sports end up putting me on the fast track to success. And I often saw that it provided me opportunities that some of my peers didn't necessarily have because they unfortunately got off into the streets and got into the system. And then, you know, as a black man, as a young black male growing up in the inner city, there's a target on our backs. We're often under attack anyway. And so if you manage to land in the system, that becomes a matrix that's very hard to get out of. So sports ended up being a way and a vehicle for me to be more, do more with my life, as well as one day, like now, be a blessing to others.
Wow. Now, sports, what type of sports were you playing?
So specifically, the ones that I would like to say that I was pretty good at was football and basketball. Those were the two of my choice. I often joke when I'm with my buddies and I say anything that end with ball, I was great at. So basketball, football, baseball, if it ended in ball, I was pretty good at, and it came natural. So it was a gift that I knew that God blessed me with. But football and basketball is what I honed in on specifically. And then I was a two-sport star at Ottawa Hills High School. And from there, because I'm only 5'9", I chose the path of football, which I ended up playing at Michigan State.
Michigan State. Wow. So you are known to many as a man of God, an educator, and best-selling author. I want to just ask you, what do these gifts mean to you? Because literally, I believe that they're gifts.
The most important title I have is the man of God and husband. The other things just kind of come the more you out here, the more people thrust you into leadership roles. And so you acquire those different titles. I'm more focused on my walk being something that others can emulate. And so I take the man of God role serious, as well as my role as a husband, especially in this day and age as a young 30-something married man in this world of social media where the temptations are through the roof, the access to women, sex, and everything else is through the roof. And so being a husband and being an example for other young married couples to see how you have a successful marriage is really top priority on my list, as well as having a strong relationship with Christ.
You know, and family, I know Chris off the air, but one of the things that has always stuck out to me, and you know this, but you are a man who speaks what he thinks.
Absolutely.
And you're repping our black men in the community, which I think is huge. And sometimes in our callings to do whatever it is that we do, it's not always easy.
Absolutely.
So how do you maneuver through going through the talk?
Right. I've always prided myself on being my authentic self. Nobody has a battery in my back, is what we call it. I'm not a puppet. I move to my own beat of the drum, so to speak. I tell people all the time, I'm not out here making moves to be making moves. I'm really sitting and waiting and standing on my post, hearing from the Lord, letting him do the advancing in my life. I'm not influenced by anything or anybody, so to speak. And so there's not a person of power or status or money that could knock me off the principles that I know that I'm tried and true to. And so one thing that I noticed, that although I strike fear in a lot of people when it comes to my life in the community, a lot of people appreciate it as well, because I am doing what's in my heart. And what I noticed is that when you do what God has called you to do, he'll make a way for you, he'll make the means for you, and he'll provide for you. And so some people wonder, how am I able to do all that I do? But really, it's not me, it's him.
I want you to talk about dreams and visions and going off after that, because there are a lot of people that are looking at this TV show right now, and they are in a place of feeling like, you know what, I've had this dream for however many years, but I don't think I have the power to make it come true. What would you say to that person? Look right there.
I would first start off by simply saying that dreams without action is dead. And so you have to have action behind any thought, any dream, any idea that you have, because without it, it's just a dream, and that's what it will always remain. I've been blessed with a heightened level of ambition. I've been blessed with a heightened level of know-how, meaning even if I don't know how, I'm going to figure out the information. I will research stuff. I will look up stuff. I will reach out to people to figure out the things that it is that I need to know to advance what it is I'm trying to do. And so that has been the number one way that I have been able to make my visions come to reality.
I love that. Why are you so passionate about this work that you're doing? Because it's not easy.
I'm passionate primarily because so many people, and as a young guy, so many people on my peers, so to speak, have become okay with being mediocre. And if nobody comes out the mediocre bubble and show that there's life on the other side, there's anything, there's all this other stuff that you can do, then we will just grow up another generation of underachievers, underperformers, and people thinking it's okay to be mediocre and not reach their full potential. And so I wake up passionate every day. It's not something that I gotta watch a motivational video. Nope, I'm already on 10 soon as I wake up, because first and foremost, I'm thankful that I got to see another day. And so that gives me a chance to absolutely to be better than I was the day before. Secondly, I'm saying, you know what, how can I make a difference, or how can I be a blessing to somebody? Those are the main things that I truly wake up every day. How can I be a blessing to somebody? So social media provides an outlet to be
and you rocking
inspiration
social media out the box.
So but in my real life, the people, when you get to know me, it's even better than social media, because you'll really see he's 10 times better than the stuff he's posts. And so those are some of the things that drives me and that fuels my passion.
I love that. One of the things that is important in the work that we do and others in the community is authenticity. How much weight does that carry?
It's everything to me. I often say, I talk about it in my best-selling book, be the best version of yourself. everybody else is already taken, so you might as well be who God called and created you to be. And so for myself, I'm always being me. So I'm a young urban guy from the inner city that got swag, but that's a man of God. And even though I speak around the country, before they pay me that $10,000 to get me to come places, I tell them my truth don't change. Just because you guys are rich or live in the suburbs, or my truth don't change just because you live in a bubble. I'm going to talk about prison. I'm going to talk about seeing people get shot in my neighborhood. I'm going to talk about all those things, and I'm going to talk about my love for Christ as well. And so I have to put that disclaimer out there to people, because I come real everywhere I go, and it don't change just because the audience might be white, or just because the audience might be Christians, or what have you. And so authenticity is how I've made my name, because everybody know what you get when you get Chris Sain.
And that's so important. I think people receive you because they feel what you're saying is coming from a place of truth. And there's so many people today that are looking for that. They've seen so much of the fake. And so when you find somebody such as yourself that is speaking truth the way that it's given to you, it just really
it resonates with people. Absolutely. I've noticed that as well, and I'm thankful for that, because I don't have to cater to anybody. Even as a young professional and as an educator working in education and leadership roles, I'm oftentimes the only young black person sitting at the table, so I always have to represent for not only the black community, but the black man. But I even notice it there too, like why diversity is so important is because you very seldom have people that's in allegiance with your line of thinking, because if everybody at the table was rich and white or rich and male, they don't understand the struggle. And so when you're advocating for our people, or when you're advocating for different things, because you know the unique needs of our students, of our people, they don't oftentimes receive it. And so there's a lot of challenges that come with it too, that oftentimes people miss.
Talk about
because
that.
we tend to handle it with so much grace, but the struggle is very, very real. You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes it gets lonely. It gets lonely in leadership. It gets lonely because you're walking a path where not many has traveled. You're young, you're educated, you're degreed up, you this author, and so you done went off into heights that a lot of people can't relate to, but don't know that if they just put a little effort, they could be right there. But then you walk into this sphere of where you're around other types of folks, and they're more looking at you as a threat. And so it's just it's a everyday battle. That's why I have to stay prayed up. That's why I have to keep the full armor on, because if you knew, my challenges might not be where my next meal gonna come from, but my challenges, we say, is new devils at different levels, and that's very real, because some of what I have to go through day in and day out is more than a notion, but sometimes you feel like, does anybody relate?
Yes, that's rich. So you founded GRAND C.I.T.Y Sports, and I want to ask, before you actually put your feet to the ground with this operation, what were some of the needs that, or what were some of the things that you observed in the community that kind of made you say, you know what, Chris, you need to do something about this? Well,
first, I was very intentional on being to my community and being to the youth in particular what I didn't have for myself. And so I would have loved a young guy who was athletic, who would, like I like to say, book smart, street smart, and had common sense to mentor me, kind of keep me on the right track, keep me out away from drugs and gangs and violence. I knew I would have loved that. And so part of the creation of GRAND C.I.T.Y was to be exactly what we wish we had. You know what I'm saying? And so myself, along with my buddies, we all were fortunate to come from the hood but make it to the professional level. I only went to as far as Michigan State, but they all went to the NFL. And so we are right here in Grand Rapids and able to help kids know that it's possible. We did it. And we live on the southeast side of Grand Rapids. And so kids receive that because they know we're 100 in what we're saying.
Yeah, there's that authenticity again.
We've been them. They haven't been us yet, but we've been where they've been. We've seen everything that they're going to see, and we weathered those storms and those attacks on a black man, and actually made it out, and still have came back, because that's so key. so many people that are fortunate to make it back never come back, make it out and never come back to give back. And so we're on the front line in the community, being visible to the youth, being accessible to the youth.
How important is that, Chris?
It's so important, man. Like I said, I tell kids all the time, it's okay to like LeBron, it's okay to like all these little guys, but they ain't gonna never come to your house. They ain't gonna never pick you up and take you to the Y. They ain't gonna never come to your school. One of your teachers go get my book, I might show up in your classroom.
Yes.
You could come play for my little league football team. You know what I'm saying? I'll come see you in high school and give you a scholarship to go to college if that's something you want to do. And so LeBron and those guys, much respect to what they do, but they're not coming to your hometown, to your doorstep the way I can and do. And so I let them know that so they can begin to start chewing on that, letting that marinate, because they'll get caught up in the what the celebrities and what the other guys are doing, but overlook the people in their community that's really blessing their lives.
Yes, that's good. One of the things that I just absolutely love about Grand City, and I want you to talk about this, but the core values, spirituality, accountability, fitness, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Responsibility, character, leadership. Why these? What's the importance?
Because each of those represents what we hope that the people we touch, the young people that we touch, that they walk away and become better in. And so starting with spirituality, we can't force a young person to do anything, but we with all that's in us, encourage them to have a relationship with Christ. We encourage them to be in corporate worship on Sunday mornings, whether they come with myself or whether they go to another respective church, because we know that our source comes from up above. Fitness. And there's so many kids that are just into the Xbox and won't get out and move around. And if I really took it to a deeper level and talk to you guys about obesity and
you can
weight
talk about
and things of that nature,
you got 30 seconds.
You would see the importance of just taking care of your health and wellness, being active, running. You know what I'm saying? Eating right, living right. So those are just a few other core values and principles that we preach and that we pour into the young people we serve.
How are the young adults or the young men, how are they receiving this information that you all are pouring into them?
They love it. They love it. And I got to keep it real right here. We are able to see firsthand why a young person can join a gang and be ride or die for that life. Because the same way we can, through something positive and pro-social, we can have that same impact on those young people by showing them something different. So they receive it, and we're showing them something that they oftentimes never seen before.
What are some of the services that you all are providing to Grand City?
So from mentorship to what we like to coin as walking alongside young people, whether we checking up on you in school, checking up on you in the classroom. Most of our people we serve, young people we serve, come from single parent homes. So we are making sure that they're being respectful to that single mom that's probably working 2 jobs to hold it down. We have to be the surrogate fathers in some cases, just to help refocus some of the young people. Other services, and we don't really call them services, but they would include things like we believe giving back builds character, and so we provide an ample amount of opportunities for them to give back. So we give away 500 turkeys every year the week before Thanksgiving, but we make the young people give them to the less fortunate.
I like that.
So that they can get a taste of it early on in life. We do a father-son 5K walk, and so you might not have a dad, but there's enough men in the community that can fill that void. And so we coin that walk with a man, talk with a man, learn from a man. And so we inject a father-son 3-point shootout because over the years, I learned that men, and I had to challenge them so tough as well. And so I'm not just going hard on the little guys, because I go at the adult men as well. They have very little to say to these young boys. I don't know if they're scared, or I don't know if they just at a loss of words, but we have to create opportunities for dialogue so that they begin to engage our young people and support them the way they need to be supported. So various different things. We used to do this, what we call a hat and glove giveaway, where we go into the schools and give hats and gloves to the kids. So that's one less item parents have to get for them. For, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So any way we can come through and be a blessing is what Grand City is all about.
That's great. So, Chris, Grand City Sports has just impacted so many young men's lives. What is some of the what are you hearing from some of the community about Grand City?
They happy it exists. First off, sometimes I hear, and I have to be real about everything, they wish we did more for young girls because we have an intentionality
there too.
And a focus on guys and young men that oftentimes the ladies are left out, or the young ladies are left out. So they that's one of the suggestions I often get. But the most part is a lot of positivity around Grand City. They like the void and the niche that we fill in the community.
I love it. I absolutely love what you're doing. So, Chris, what has been the feedback from the community concerning Grand City Sports?
As it relates to the community has a love and a huge affinity for Grand City. They like the void that we feel in the community. They like to see young, positive black men in the community using sports to interact with the youth. And so we have got nothing but a positive response. At the same time, we do hear sometimes about they wish we did stuff for our young women and females.
There's a need.
Absolutely. And so that's been one of the biggest suggestions that I often get from the community. What can we do, or do we do for young girls? And so at this current moment, sometimes we have a co-ed basketball events where it can feature girls, but oftentimes our events are catered towards young men and young adults.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. So hence, we have this book that you have penned, Dumb Athlete. Talk to us about this book.
Dumb Athlete, that's a word that's near and dear to me. I tell people all the time it became the title of my book because it was also my biggest fear. I knew at an early age that I was gifted athletically. Some people play sports, but some people are gifted at it. And I knew for me, sports was a gift. I told you anything to end with ball, I was pretty good at it. So as an athlete, I had this fear of, man, I know I'm pretty decent in sports, but I never want to be that guy that's considered dumb or not getting it done in the classroom. And so that always pushed me to do my best in the classroom. Now, mind you, I fell short. I was ineligible. I can remember back in my 7th or 8th grade year at one point, and I had my share of academic struggles, but overall, the fear of someone perceiving me as a dumb athlete and saying, man, he's good in the classroom, but we know we ain't gonna see him playing on Saturday because he ain't gonna get it done in the classroom. That stuck with me and made me want to go hard, like I always say, in the classroom, and make sure that I'm not just known for my athletic prowess, but people take me serious as a scholar as well.
Now, is that something that is generally put together with the athlete? Is that their
sometimes they might call it dumb jock, or sometimes you see players ineligible, or you wonder why a really good player is in street clothes on the sideline, and typically he hasn't did what he's supposed to do in the classroom. And when I sit back and watch games on ESPN now, I'm always looking for the guy on the bench because he's the guy I didn't want to be.
Wow.
You know, so my book is titled Dumb Athlete, How My Biggest Fear Became My Biggest Motivator. Growing up in the inner city, people often ask, how did you make it out?
Yes.
And the statistics say that young black males from the inner city are supposed to be dead or in jail by 25. Well, I had a brother that did nearly 20 years in prison, and like I had a best friend that lived 2 doors down from me that died and got killed and lost through gun violence when we was 13. Neither one of those avenues was what I was fearful of, to be honest.
That's good.
And so when people ask me, how did you make it out? Because I was so content on not being considered or called dumb. And I knew early on that I had these athletic gifts, that was really the thing that steered me down a different path, and that's how I made it through.
Wow. This book has called you, or has caused you to be able to go and speak around the country. What has that experience been like for you?
That experience has been surreal, to say the least. Sometimes you commit your life to paper, but you don't really know who's going to take an interest in it. You don't know who it's going to reach. But sometimes when God tells you to move, you just got to do what he tells you to do. And so that's what I did. I knew if I lived to see 17 that I would one day write a book about it. And so I had got all these degrees and I was living my life and got away from my purpose. But when I got refocused and I sat down and pushed that book out in 3 months, and it has taken me places that sports has never taken me.
Wow.
And so so it's been a blessing. It's been a humbling experience. It's been a great thing to see the many people that it's touched. But between us, one thing that I noticed that the people love is, especially in our urban communities, for once, young people, college-going people, they can see somebody that looks like them on the cover of a book. That? So beyond the title, beyond the great content that's in here, oftentimes they're just happy that somebody that come from the struggle, that know the struggle, that look like them, is on the front of a book.
That's
and so
powerful.
This book is in schools all across the country, colleges using it as part of a book study.
What is that like?
Man,
I gotta just cut in.
That's crazy. When I get these calls to come to these colleges, because schools I don't even know about are dissecting every chapter of this book to broaden the experience of the first-year students at their respective colleges. And so I get to come in sometimes and surprise students. I get to come in and speak to their classrooms, and it's humbling, because I can't honestly tell you and sit here and say that I knew all of this was going to happen when I wrote the book. I truly didn't. I didn't know.
You just stepped out there.
So I just stepped out there and let God do what he do.
Wow. So listen, let the audience know, where can they go to get their hands on this book? Or
Absolutely.
You may have people who want to connect with you concerning Grand City Sports.
Yeah, this book is everywhere. It's in Barnes and Nobles, it's in Schuler's, it's in the Christian bookstores, it's in your college library, your local library, and it's also available on Amazon via iBook, Kindle, Nook, and any electronic device. It's also available on my website at www.chrissain.com, where I sign those particular ones and write a personalized message that I send to each of you that purchase it through my website. Grand City Sports, you can also touch base with me through that vehicle as well, and that website is www.grandcitysports.com. And again, at that website is a lot more information and resources and just different information out there.
Well, listen, Chris, this has been an absolute treat for me to have you on the show today. I'm so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Keep doing what you're doing. Family, I hope you enjoyed this time with Chris Sain. He's just giving you all of the information that you need to go find him online. And if you didn't have your pen and the paper, listen, use Google. Google Chris Sain Jr. and everything you need will pop up. So until next time, this is Coach B, and I want to encourage you to remember to live your best life in life now. Until next time, peace.